Perhaps the current Nigeria's leadership style can be best described as a travesty, where political actors are more concerned with succession rather than salvation. With 2 full years to the next election, many in the political class appear to have abandoned governance for politicking, with all eyes on 2027, instead of what many can best describe as today's tragedy, given the rise in corruption, lack of accountability, weak governance, and the frail yet loud cry from the Plateau, Benue, and the entire northwestern region, where activities of bandits and banditry continue unabated. This is our focus on today's edition of Leadership Podcast. I am Chikodinaka D. And well, my guest today is a former House of Assembly candidate for Ika South local government area of Delta State under the umbrella of the All Progressives Congress in 2023. He is also a legal practitioner, Festus Ofume. Good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So how is the Salah celebration for you?
Jokes. We've been we'll use the opportunity to pray for the nation, have good time to reflect and spend crave time with our Muslim brothers and sisters. So yeah, it's been a nice one.
A fruitful one. Well, in the spirit of the Salah celebration, it's also a countdown to June 12th. Which is known as Democracy Day, a day we commemorate democracy in Nigeria. And also a day that reminds us of the annulment of the 1993 June 12 election. So in not many words, how would you describe democracy in Nigeria? What's your assessment of it?
I will tell you without mising words that with what we have today and where we are currently today, those Nigerians that fought for the current democracy, starting from the prelude to the June 12 and the June 12 saga, will be very glad, though even the matter as are those that are living, we're very happy and glad that what they fought for, what they believe in, has come to stay. And is not only staying, but is flourishing to the full expectations of well-being in Nigeria. So, democratically wise for this country, we are doing very well. We are actually standing at the place where it's expected that ship is standing. And the current government of APC in the last couple of years have actually help to cement and give coloration to the democratic aspirations that many Nigerians have.
If I may cut you in or interrupt your flow, when you say democratically, Nigeria is where it ought to be, or standing where it ought to be, and then you give credence to how far or how well the APC has performed since it took over power in 2015. A lot of persons may want to disagree with you on that, because given the current realities in Nigeria, and probably in the last few months and few weeks, you have also followed the social media space, particularly the television spaces too, and where you see a lot of scholars coming out to call out this current administration with this stain of how much it has failed Nigerians.
You see, one of the biggest concern or problem that I think our country and people in Nigeria have is that we don't actually want to use statistics to judge progress. Okay. We are looking at progress in a different ramification of time. But if you look at statistics, actually, you will agree with me that we are progressing accordingly. We are doing well. Considering the fact that, like you said, we started experiencing democratic system of government back since 1999. And from 1999, the governments that have been in power till the APC government came into power has actually piloted Nigeria on the atmosphere where we did not have the temerity or the strength to be, or we'll be living in what I will call a deceptive economic lie.
How deceptive?
And the current government came into power to actually set us in a place where ordinary we should be. That is why when I said that we are where we are currently is where we are expected to be, is because if you look at it critically, the actual democratic settings of a nation, the structures that you need to establish a viable democratic society were being put in place from the inception of the APC government. And obviously, results for any investment that you put into is gradual and you will see it coming up. So the result of the policies, economic policies, fiscal policies, and monetary policies that this current administration is putting in place are definitely yielding results. And for objective Nigerians, you look clearly, you will see that we're actually headed in the right direction.
So if we were to just suppose this with the current economic situation in the country, would you be on the part of the government when it says that in terms of economically, Nigeria has fared well despite the hunger and hardship?
Well, yes, I will tell you yes without miser words. Coincidentally, or fortunately, I have also lived in the Western world. I have lived in the US and in Canada for a substantial part of my life. And not only lived there, I've also participated in a lot of things going on there. I was one time, or two times, the president of Nigerian Canadian Association, but I was the vice president of Nigerian Advancement Institute in Canada. And I can tell you clearly that the economic hardship is a global issue. And even at that, I haven't leaned in both words. I'll tell you that Nigeria is the cheapest economy and environment to Italy.
How cheap?
Yeah, it is.
There was a recent statistics where someone tried to make a comparison, with our electric bills in Nigeria compared to that of the UAE, compared to that of Canada, and then the US. And it was also discovered that Nigeria's tariff bills are, things that are unimaginable and perhaps something that we shouldn't even delve into in the first place.
Well, yeah, when you say that, again, you begin to look at the culture of people. How do you use these bills? How do you use these utilities and all?
Should we be concerned about culture?
We should be concerned about
the tariffs.
Well, the tariffs will come, and then the tariffs also should look at vis-a-vis of the countries. Don't forget that when people make this comparison, sometimes you should make a reasonable comparison. Comparisons are not just made hook, line, and sinker. When you are making comparison, also look at where you are coming from and where the other person is coming from. These are countries, Western world, when we compare, and are countries that have had structured, formed democracy for over decades. And we just got started. Like I told you, that the real part of life, the real sustainability of life, the real benefits of what you are and who you are, got started not too long. I was coming in, discussing not too long with an MD, and he was saying, look, to clear a vehicle from
the wharf,
that the tax you are paying is getting to about 4 billion naira to get a Toyota Camry. So in conclusion, that even a civil servant, someone that is working currently, cannot even afford to raise the money to buy a car. And my question is that even in the Western world, how possible, how easy is it for someone who is also working in the government or other sectors to buy a car? What you should be looking at is not an outright sale. It's to look at, should we set up a structure that understands and encourage credit facilities? I have lived in the Western world for a long time. I've never been able to buy a car outright. I buy a mortgage car. I have my cars financed by the institution that should finance that. And the institution will continue to finance me because I pay my mortgages, I pay my bills regularly. By so doing, I've been able to build up a credit structure that whenever I want something and I go to them, they'll be able to finance it. So it is actually absorbed. This is not normal that someone who has worked for 12 years should be able to afford a car. It's only in Nigeria that you see somebody who has been working in the bank for 35 years and you're thinking that, oh, I don't have a car, I don't have a house. You should not in a real society.
And that speaks loudly to corruption in Nigeria, if you would agree.
Definitely, I agree with you. That speaks loudly to corruption. The other time when Senator Dillon and I came on the air and was celebrating that he had 3 of his boys that he was able to secure your employment with NFDC. And he went to commission to in an house opening for one of them. And he came out on the national TV to be celebrating someone who started working in NNPC for 2 years and he has built a house that he has 2 cars to himself. And I wonder, in a civil society, in a sane society, how possible should that? Where is he getting that money from? Can your salary support building a house in 2 years of work?
So who gets the blame?
Obviously, what we're talking about is such persons, they are encouraging people to loot and steal what belongs to you and I.
But Dino Melaye is just an individual. So even when he encourages one to tilt towards corruption, we have a body responsible for, taming this tide and ensuring that it reduces the indices of corruption in Nigeria.
Right.
This body is managed by the government. So do we say or outrightly go with the notion that the government is also complicit?
Well, the government is doing what they need to do.
In what way?
To make sure you have leadership.
You've been in Senate clients.
Right.
You said you have lived in the US, you have lived in Canada, and then you know how things works there. Imagine an Elon Musk comes on TV and makes such huge boast as to how he was able to secure jobs for some certain numbers of persons and how they've been able to build houses or buy houses and
does a short space of time. Right.
Within a short space of time. What follows next?
Well,
the FBI comes calling purple. So in Nigeria's situation, given our reality, how is it that the EFCC, the ICPC looked the other way?
Well, I wouldn't say that they are looking the other way. In that particular matter, actually, I didn't follow up. But again, you and I...
No, but you and I know that Dino Melaye is a freebird.
Well, yeah, no, he's
all around.
It's not about him. It's about the person.
But it's also about the impression.
And while
it's about impression, and then
yes, and it's about to show you that it is not just the government. The individuals, you and I, are also complicit.
And when the individual fails to be held accountable, fails to to have that upright look or same, what happens? The government comes with a big stick.
Absolutely.
So how is it that the government did not bother to scrutinize further?
Well,
is the government complicit in this?
The government, as it stands currently, this administration, has actually come with a heavy stick and heavy hammer
in what way?
Issues of corruption. They have also come with beautiful tools to make sure that leadership in Nigeria and governance in Nigeria is yielding benefits that will trickle down to everybody to the very last.
And can you provide evidential materials to just
the evidence are just there everywhere. I mean, people started complaining about the issue of subsidy removal in this government and all. But
videoed in corruption, right?
Will also go back to where you and I has failed to go back to actually see the developmental strides that majority of the state government, who has governors that are reasonable and are willing to work, who ordinarily wouldn't have been able to perform if the resources were not there. But now that they are having the resources from what they are getting from the federal allocations, they are performing. And the president has constantly said, go back to your state. Government is in different levels. We are not expecting that the central, which is the central government, should go down in all levels to begin to see that development is being done.
Please cite some critical...
In stages. The state government are receiving huge allocation. And to those governors who actually means to do well in their state, you can actually see what they are doing.
So we have 36 states and then the FCT. And of this 36 states and FCT, most of them, particularly in the Northwest, are crying. They are begging for their lives. In fact, the Northwest as of today is nothing to write home about as far as security is concerned. And now you are also from Delta State, Ika local government area for that matter. You would also agree with me that in recent times, activities of banditry in your state has heightened. So how would you sit and then believe that the same administration has really come up with, it has really wielded big sticks and, clamped down on several hypocrisies, so to speak, in leadership?
You see, I think just yesterday, I was looking at the statistics and graph that was provided by international organizations when it has to do with displacements of people, Iraqis and order. And then we looked at it and found out that two major reasons causes are responsible for displacements and for people. We're looking at the natural disasters and insecurities, which can come into with local criminal activities, banditries, communal clashes, kidnapping, and what have you. Now, the statistics, like I said when I started, are there for us to see. Between 2012 to 2016, the graph was going in a very high rocket stage of displacement, which was as a result of insecurity, major. From 2017 to 2023, it was also climbing. I can show you facts online. From 2023
and between 2023 and 2025, what's the reality?
It came down and has been moving on a very straight line.
On a downward slope?
It came down a downward slope and has been moving on a straight line. What does that tell you?
Did you follow the reports on the plateau recently?
Wait,
did you follow the reports on Bedouin recently?
Did
you follow the reports in Katsina, Zamfara?
Look,
and the list goes on.
You see, in as much as you are highlighting these areas, statistics is about data that you collect together.
Collective data.
And analyze them. The fact that an incident is happening, because we're talking about Nigeria, right, as a whole. So I saw that there's an increase or surge in one particular area, and there's a drastic decrease in another area. And this surges occurs as a result of incidences that are not being properly managed, which the government is doing everything that it needed to do to see how that happens. The whole idea is that in generality, in totality, we look at the statistics and what are the results of the statistics, the report. So the report is what we are looking at. Is it improving? If it is improving, yes. Are there areas that actually we need to do more so that we can achieve more results? The answer is yes, I agree with you. That a lot is happening in the northern part of Nigeria that needs a lot of attention to begin into.
And you'd also agree that your state needs even more attention.
Oh yes, I agree that my state needs attention now.
I asked this question because you are a local politician.
Right.
You have run for office at the local stage, which is the House of Assembly. You were once the candidate for APC for Ika South local government. Yeah. And being that you were a candidate, you took your time to traverse through the hinterlands in Ika local government area. You met with people, you met with traditional rulers, you met with the elderlies, the youths. What was the general consensus in terms of security? That's from your place.
Yeah, as if you were there during my campaign. What you just said is actually the the normal process to campaign, to meet with all stakeholders, which quite accepted. I actually did that, but you know what? Most Colossians are able to do that anyways. So that's just by the wayside. Now, the issue of security, of during my cafeteria, all that, concerns were raised. And we did not run away from those concerns. We did not shy away from them. If I had won my elections, I had templates, I had ideas, I had things that I was going to put in place to see that we check these problems and see how we can improve.
Did you identify the problems in your local government?
Well, the problems in my local government in terms of the security that you're talking about, of course, which everybody will know, talking about the herders and farmers crisis has been one of the major issues. Kidnapping has been another problem that we are having. And again, the issue of the kidnapping also has been kind of directly linked to the inflow of these persons who would not be
the killer headsmen
were not properly identified, and who has decided to find comfort in living in bushes. These bushes were areas that people used to go to farm and cultivate their meet their livelihood and others. So yeah, it was an issue, and we're going to address those issues. We're going to see how we begin to actually profile people who live around us. Right?
What solution were you proffering at the time?
Getting it clear that, well, I contested for a legislative position.
Absolutely.
I wasn't contesting for an executive position.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter in the sense that security issues, is actually a major thing that can easily be handled from the executive point of government. Now,
but the legislature is there too.
Where we are supposed to, legislators are meant to make laws.
Mm-hmm.
Legislators don't get involved in the implementations of those laws.
Absolutely, but as much as the legislators do not get involved, the legislators are also seen as the eye of the people. Because your duty there is to legislate laws that will bring peace and security to your people. And that's why I asked, because you will still, I know that as a politician, you are also ambitious, you're also looking forward to run for bigger positions. So, but we will start from the local level, because politics is local. Yeah. At the time when you were running for 2023 elections for the House of Assembly in the Car local government area, what solution did you proffer? Or did you believe that if it comes to light, the issue of cuts, of killer headsmen, the farmer crisis, headsmen crisis, what solution did you think you would bring to the table that will bring an end to it?
Yes, I'll give you an example with like you said, all this is local from my rebel government. When we were growing up, we had a situation in society where we need people who also came from the northern part of Nigeria, and we went to school together. We know the communities we know the houses where they stay. We visit them and all that, who were living harmoniously together with all these people. Their children, as it is now, begin to marry our own kids and all that. But current, like I said, that you have people who are living in the bushes. We don't know them. You see people who landlords are giving accommodation. You have over 20, 40 people living in one room from nowhere. We don't know them. We're going to do a proper profiling. We're going to suggest a system of government that will allow proper profiling and proper identification of people, so that I know who you are, you know who I am. We're going to see a system where people should not live in the bushes. Animals live in the bushes. And when a human being begins to live in the bush, it's like the likelihood that you start behaving like an animal will definitely come up. We're going to encourage community policing and strengthen community policing, because every society that will strive in terms of security must start with community policing, so that when you see something, you say. When you see something that does not look like, you report it. And that is one of the things that has helped the Western world, where even if it is your relative or something, you see something that does not fit in, does not look right, you report for it to be properly investigated.
What's your opinion? What's your opinion on cattle grazing?
There is nothing wrong with that. But what is wrong with it is the process and the manner at which we'll do this. I mean, we need that to survive. We need the beef to survive. But the manner in which cattle are being raised in Nigeria, it's not the proper thing. Government has been singing about the issue of ranches, the issue of having a settlement villages where you can raise your cattle. People are doing it in the Western world, and it's working out well. So if the government begin to strengthen policies to that end, and the people of Nigeria also begin to understand that these policies are not put in place to withhold a certain group of persons. It is for the betterment of Nigeria. It is to secure the society. It is to nipple down on the root cause of the problems that we are having. By the time that is done, where the cattle rearing, the henchmen stays in a confined place with their cattle and feed the cattle and do what is right. The farmer who owns his farm, that goes to his farm to cultivate things, will go there without having issues and all that. You see that the issue of the clash will be properly handled. I don't have any ideas.
Barrister, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, the conversation continues.
Thanks.
Nigeria is at a turning point. Young people are rising, demanding change. If you believe in justice, strong leadership, and real reform, then it's time to take a stand.
At LJE Nigeria, we're not just observers, we're builders. We're tackling leadership deficits, advocating for justice reforms, and driving economic advancements for all.
As a volunteer, you won't just watch, you will be a part of it. You will gain access to powerful seminars, conferences, and mentorships from professionals who believe in your potential.
No matter who you are, whether you're a student, an entrepreneur, a professional, or someone who cares, there's a place for you here.
Network with passionate change makers, build skills, and step into leadership.
Join LJE Nigeria today. Let's lead with truth. Let's build with courage. Let's rise for Nigeria. Become an LJE volunteer today and be the change Nigeria needs. Follow all our social media handles for more details.
Well, it's still Leadership Dialogue podcast on LJE Nigeria TV. And of course, remember that you can be part of this conversation. All you need to do is like, share, and contribute your quota on our social media pages on YouTube, Instagram, as well as Facebook. The handle remains at LJE Nigeria. Well, before we went on that break, we were sharing our thoughts on security in Nigeria. But this time, we will delve further into leadership crisis, the lack of accountability by governance, the weak governance structure in Nigeria, and as well as what many would perceive as lack of transparency from our leaders. My guest is still a former House of Assembly candidate under the ruling All Progressives Congress in 2023. He ran to represent his local constituency, that is Ika South local government area of Delta State. Oh, he's still here with me, Barrister Festus Ofume. We'll delve further into the subjects, and this time around we'll be looking at leadership. Now, when you look at the leadership in Nigeria, I understand that you are of the ruling of Progressives Congress, and then when I look through your profile, I see how the reason for which you left the PDP for the APC, and from what I saw on your profile, it is for what you believe is to advance leadership and credibility in leadership. Thus far, since you joined the APC, has that been achieved?
Yes.
How?
There was a leadership lacuna, leadership gap in Nigeria that became so obvious at a very point in time in our system, especially during the last phase of the PDP-led federal government. When I clearly looked at that, I found that this gap can only be bridged by joining the progressive family, which led to my
Your decision to do it.
was to join the APC. And I joined the APC, like you said, to assist the party to join hands with progressive to build this nation. And that work is what we'll be doing. It's work in progress. We will continue to do that. This current administration that is led by President
Asiwaju
Bola Tinubu has actually helped to cement the foundation of leadership in Nigeria.
Because when you talk about cementing foundation of leadership in Nigeria and of course advancing leadership in Nigeria, well, it is popularly believed that before you appear beautiful on the streets, your house is expected to be more beautiful. Now, as far as the All Progressives Congress is concerned, especially in recent time, it's been enmeshed in internal wrangling. So how can the party who boasts to be advancing leadership also be caught up in the web of leadership crisis?
Well, I don't know where you are getting that from. I'm almost going to be confused that I'm almost going to be stating that maybe you are confusing us for the PDP.
No, the PDP has its own crisis. The APC also has its own crisis.
Stands right now.
The United House.
We've been talking about what are the indices. You asked me what evidence, what point do I need to show about improve in the livelihood of Nigerians earlier on right now. And then let me take that question and apply it to what we're talking about now in terms of leadership and APC. What are the evidence that I need to show that actually APC internally is united, is working together as a political family? The evidence are plethora, are everywhere. You can see what's going on. You can see the massive defection. You can see how much people are running to associate with this beautiful bride because of the way the leader of the party, the president, has been able to hold the party together.
Is it a thing of leadership style or a thing of intimidation?
It is not intimidation.
Coercion.
Nobody is coercing anybody here. Nobody is coercing anybody at all. This is because people are seeing the beauty in governance.
It was
to see the beauty in leadership. People are seeing the angle, the direction that this government is going. People are seeing the bridges, the structure that we are setting up. That if the structures are properly allowed to set up, that it's capable of holding up stories of beauties that will stand for our democracy.
Well, very say it was the former governor of Edo State, former governor of Edo State, what's his name for? Oh, not Obaseki. I can't even remember his name. Adams Oshomole, who said that if you want your sins forgiven, you should, defect to the APC. And only recently, we saw the former governor of your state, Ifeanyi Okowa, also singing the praises of the APC, having defected and believing that his own sins were forgiven. And then also we saw your governor and the avalanche of followers from Delta State, collapsing the structure and then defecting wholly to the All Progressives Congress. And for not a few persons, that spells doom for democracy. And secondly, it also shows some level of coercion and distrust in governance. And thirdly, it is believed that the style we are seeing with the governors of the APC is only tilting towards one thing: corruption at its highest ebb. Would you agree with those who share this?
I totally disagree. When Adams Oshomole said what he said, I actually don't know what he meant or what he was trying to imply by referring to that. If he's referring to APC as a church, where if you come in and then you begin to go through the classes of believer squads for you to become born again, maybe that's what he's talking about. I don't know. But jokes apart, those who have actually crossed into APC that has one or two investigation going on over there with the anti-craft agents. Up to this very moment,
Had their investigation
never
down.
seen any of them that the EFCC has come up to say that the investigations has been withdrawn. Neither have they come up to say that the existing matters in court for those that are going through mitigations has also been withdrawn or dismissed.
But you have also seen some unannounced delay with their cases.
You see,
and many times
the
forgotten.
problem with most people is that when you hear, I'm a lawyer, when you hear investigations, when people are being invited, apprehended, arrested, or head up for investigation, it doesn't mean conviction, actually. So the investigation, the holding up, is for you to provide information. It happens everywhere. It's for them to critically look at the situation. Now, people begin to see that once a politician has been invited for question, once a politician has been held in the EFCC because there's a petition against that person, the court of public opinion condemns that person and pass judgment on that person. But we don't expect an institution to behave the same way. The institution will continue with their investigation. And if they do not have they cannot establish a prima facie case for them to go to court. It is not. It happens everywhere.
Is that some coincidence?
It's not about issue of coincidence. Now, you also will agree with me that these institutions they're not angels. Neither are these soothsayers. They have to work with informations. They have to, that's why the suspect is invited. You have to go to agencies, the states where you are, for instance, the governor has governed, to begin to source for evidence that they will be able to put together, pieces of evidence that they will put together to be able to nail that person. And one of the major things of such organization is for you to be able to secure conviction. And of what use will it be, if not just to waste the state resources, waste the time of the court, for you to try to arraign someone who you do not have enough evidence to be able to secure conviction?
And that's why I ask again. Because many times what you see is the AFCC coming up with the allegations on corruption, bordering on corruption and all of that, spinning on certain individuals. But the minute these individuals become a part and parcel of the APC, what we see is that these cases are whittled down. And then they begin to work as free men again.
I think that is
so
right.
Is it that in the APC, they have this tradition
No. I think that is
of not prosecuting members?
That is actually not the case.
So what is
the case is that the current trend, the current movement, the current exodus of people into the All Progressive Party Congress, it is based on two things. One, the ability of the current Mr. President to hold the party together and continue to state the ideology that is behind the party, which is the progressive ideology. That is why most people are coming into it. Secondly, is that they are beginning to see the results, the yield in dividends of democracy, the governmental structures, the patterns, the product of the renewed hope agenda. They are beginning to see hopes being come up. Why would they? And I'll give you one a clear example. People are saying, why? Look at this coastal road that is happening, that is the president initiated.
The controversial coastal road.
In every, sometimes we come in here to make comparison. Why is this not working here? It's working in the Western world. You also will admit with me that in the Western world, there is no two states joined together that has one ingress and one egress from them. If you are coming into Nigeria from Lagos to Edo to Delta to Anambra to Way, it is just that one single road that takes there. It is not good for economic purposes. Now, the president has felt there should be need for us to have this. The need for that road, the economic benefit of that road, outweighed more than the political interest
and
selfish interest of, just give me a minute, of these governors. And a governor who will begin to see that if I support this current administration to see that this road is completed, I know what is going to, how it's going to cushion the economic profit of my state. I decided to say, okay, you know what? I want to join hands, not from afar. I want to be inside to actually tap into, to actually support this current administration so that the dividend of democracy will trickle down properly well to my state. It is not because of their selfish interest. It's not because of their own or fear. It is because of the interest, for instance, in Delta. It's for the good of Deltas. It's for the interest of Deltas that the governor of Delta State, led by Governor Sheriff Oholowari, decided to collapse the structure into the All Progressive Congress to support and cement and beautify what President Bola Ahmed Ashwaju is doing. So it's not, nobody's been coerced at all. Nobody's been forced to join APC. In fact, a sound politician should not be coerced, should be a politician that believes in your ideology. Do you know that most
Is
of
the APC driven by ideology?
Oh yes.
And what is the ideology of the APC?
By ideology. And I will tell you why. You see, once you get the leadership right, a lot of things works. You and I were in this country where at one point in the current president was the governor of Lagos State. And PDP controlled about 33 states in Nigeria. And he remained the governor of Delta State. Even with the political problems, the withholding of funds of Lagos State when he created the area councils by the federal government, he remained undeterred. He stood his ground.
Now you're speaking about that.
Just give me a minute. No, I'm going to talk about the ideology. He remained resolute and continued. In 1993, in 2003, he won more states under the AD. They believed in what? His ideology, political ideology. That was what he also catapulted, what he concreted on by working with the former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, to join hands with the CPC structures and AD that brought about the APC. It was built on what? Their political ideology.
You still haven't told me what this ideology
political ideology. The ideology is the progressive ideology. That is what
progressive ideology is. So in clear terms, Lagos State is just one state, not even as big as Kano State, if we may compare. And then when you talk about Lagos State vis-a-vis Nigeria, it's not comparable. And for many persons, Lagos shouldn't be used to adjudge the current realities with Nigeria. The president may have done well as a governor, but not doing well as a president. Would you agree?
Well, I don't know why that, because the analogy that I'm trying to give with that is that he remained a progressive. He believed in the progressing ideology of a political party.
So is Nigeria progressive?
What keeps you in a political party? What makes you...
With an inflation rate of about 35%.
It's about the ideology that is behind that political platform. In the US, we have the Democrats, we have the Republicans. It is based on ideology.
And that's why I asked, is Nigeria progressive?
Nigeria, currently, the government is being led by the APC, which is the Progressive Party. And come on, while I'm not saying that this government has lived up to the expectation of every Nigerian, but this government has lived above the expectations of the minimum on average Nigeria.
So if you go on the streets of Nigeria now and you get an artisan, for instance, would you hear the artisan speak in support of the current administration?
Yeah, the artisans may not speak in support of the current administration because because they are looking at the immediate gain.
So no. When the artisan, because I still understand that governance is by the people. The highest office in Nigeria is the office of the people.
Just give me a minute.
The citizens own the highest office.
Just in Nigeria, just give me a minute, let me laugh. May not agree because they are looking for immediate gain. And no country that we are trying to emulate today in the Western world build on or succeeded on immediate gain. Policies are being made and kept on ground that will yield result in 20, 40 years to come.
And these policies are...
I am coming. These policies are for you and I. And when these policies begin to change your abnormality, your abnormal way of life before, we begin to complain. That is what is happening in Nigeria. We cannot continue to live in abnormality. There is a Chinese proverb that says that when a man set up on a journey and he discovers that he's proceeding on an error, it doesn't matter how far you have gone. You have just one option. The option is to turn back and go and start correcting. So in Nigeria, that has been proceeding on an error until this current administration, who said, look, we are going to go back to the drawing board. Analyze where we are. Analyze what got us to this place and look at the possible solutions that will take us out from this place. Not solutions that will make you happy, or solutions that will take us out of this place and build a strong economy. And those solutions are economic-based solutions that they must be put in place. In putting those solutions to place, principles, policies has to be made. When these policies are made, we are not living in a country where it's being run by autocratic or military era. These policies has to go through the process of becoming laws or rules that will govern you and I. We must give the government a chance to allow these policies to begin to yield fruit. Trust me and take this from me. Whether you like it or not, if you plant a tree, if you put a seed in the soil and continue to put water, give it time, it will grow, it will germinate. And if it germinates, you begin to harness the tree, begins to take the leaves to eat because you are hungry. You will not get the seed that would have been a better fruit.
So until this tree germinates, the artisans on the streets, the common traders or in the marketplaces should go hungry. Is that what you say?
They are not going hungry.
So what is the reality?
The common artisan on the street, you understand that because things are changing, our problem is that we have refused to accept and adapt and reposition ourselves for the good policies that are in front of us so that we will see a better result.
Are you saying this because you're a member of your...
I'm saying this because I'm a member of Open University.
Are you also saying this?
And I'm saying this in all honesty, that what I've been saying, I've never said that things are not difficult. All I'm saying is that these things that are happening are results, are effects that will actually affect us until we get to there.
And the difficulties that you have admitted to, just a minute.
Let me give you, please, I don't want to
just a minute. Let me just drop this point. The difficulties you have admitted to, that hopefully, of course, you have just admitted to the fact that things are difficult in Nigeria. Are these difficulties the best we have seen? Like in the last, where we want to compare 2023 and to 2025 with the previous administrations, perhaps going back to 2010, is this worse off?
I won't say it is worse off.
Has Nigerians ever had it this bad in terms of difficulties?
What do you mean this bad?
Inability to buy foodstuffs.
What is this bad?
Hunger. Mind you, by 2030, according to statistics from the World Bank, Nigeria might become one of the most hungry countries in the world. So we have never had such statistics before. So given these realities, the killings, the maimings, the food insecurity, you are a Nigerian. You have been in Nigeria. You schooled in Nigeria. Have you ever had it this bad?
Have you ever been into...
The surge. Have you been to the market recently?
Have you ever been into your house that you have abandoned for a whole time, marked? You come into the house, you just move in. You want to fumigate. And when you fumigate, do you stay in the house? When you fumigate, do you stay in that room? Or what do you do? The period where you fumigate and all that, if you are even sleepy, you are tired, you must actually find somewhere. You sit outside sometimes to give time for the insecticides or whatever you have flooded to take effect, so that those things that if you go into the house, the mosquitoes, the roaches and all that will disturb you will be taken care of. They will be killed. Nigeria is being fumigated. Oh. We are sitting outside. But I tell you that the atmosphere is beginning to calm down. The smell is beginning to become comfortable where we can actually go in. We are now seeing that. And now we are now beginning. And now what has happened is for us to begin to, even at that, you won't just move into your house. You will now clean up.
Okay.
Nigerians are to clean up. That is where we are right now.
Okay.
And in cleaning up, it just becomes so difficult because you know what? We don't just want to do that.
So while we were cleaning up, you were here. Of course, you are a politician. And as a politician, I know one of the things you do is also to give aids. In recent times, how much have you spent? How much do you spend on daily basis helping the needy? When compared to the previous years, is there a difference? Or you still spend the same amount for XYZ number of persons?
Well, I give when I have to give. I give when I feel that whoever needs is asking for has a need for it. I don't give because I'm a politician and I should just give out to people to secure their conscience or their love.
Or you give out of necessity?
I give because I have to give, and my giving has a pattern. I give mostly to see how I can establish people so that you don't come back to me to ask for more.
And you would also agree that in your local community, for instance, there are different grades of people. You know, you have the poor, the average, the poor, the middle class, below or above middle class, and then the rich, which of course you may fall in between the rich. So how do you?
I don't know about that.
How do you cushion the effects of the poor in your community?
Well, like I said, it's an all-round effort. All hands will be on deck. Why the rich have, and they might be led to give to the poor.
So the gap is widening, right?
The poor should also understand that whatever you get should be put into proper use so that you can't get yourself out of it. Now, one of the major things about leadership is poverty elevation, is to put people out of poverty, insecurity, and education. So when you give as a leader, my giving is not because I want to take care of your immediate need, and it shouldn't be. The giving should be because I want to pull you out of poverty. So
how easy has that been for you?
Well, yeah, it's not been easy, but I mean, to a large extent, it yields fruits, and it yields fruit because those that have seen it believes in it.
I'm asking for percentages.
Oh yeah,
like I want to know the figures.
It has. What I'm saying,
in the last 5 years and now, has there been any changes?
Of course, there have been a lot of change because, like I said, I do structural giving. Which is called empowerment. I don't believe in empowerment of 10,000, take 20,000, take to eat. I don't do such empowerment. I do empowerment that will be called empowerment, to empower you to be able to live above expectation, to be able to get you out of your current situation. Empowerment should be a bridge to take you from stage A to stage B. Empowerment that keeps you in your current stage, which most politicians do. I don't believe in that. I don't do that. So,
all right, just as we wind down this conversation, Barrister Ofume, you would agree that it's high time we seek change in Nigeria. But that was
what do you mean by change?
That was what the APC promised us, to bring change. Okay. So this change requires changing the status quo.
Why do you want?
So how do we begin to harness a new crop of leaders? Or you think we are not right for that? You are a young person. Are you not aspiring to even becoming the president of Nigeria someday?
You see, when you said the word change, I was going to ask you, my question was, what do you mean by change? Because it's it's an ambiguous word. If you're talking about aspiration and that people should get into positions as younger ones so that the old ones, as they're fading out. It is a normal thing in life. My dad is not alive today, but he's dead and all, and I'm stepping into his shoes just like every other person. The current president is older than me. He's not going to be there forever. He's going to fade out. The current cabals, let me use the word, not cabal in a negative way, the current maybe group of leadership that we have today, and they will
And the leadership crisis in Nigeria also require a change for Nigeria.
if they are fading what they wanted, people will come in. It's just like school. As people are graduating out, people are coming in, right? So when you say change, I was worried and scared that you're thinking about like, oh, well, change in terms of the next election, we should vote out the current government and all that. No, I don't see.
You don't want that.
Why should I want to change what is working out? Why do you want to reinvent the wheel? Change what? The president is doing very well. The country is heading to the right direction. The issue is, where is the pointer? Are we pointing to where we are heading to? Let's continue that way. If the arrow is pointing to the other side, and then we want to change, want to redirect it. But we are walking in the right direction for Nigerians. We are walking in the right directions to make sure that this country will become a country where you and I and people will begin to look, whether people want to admit it or not, we are moving. Whether people also want to admit it or not, there are some things that has not worked out well that needs to be properly looked into again so that we can actually provide a better solution. And that is why we are asking that there should be continuity. 2 years in 4 years means a half. In every game, football tournament, after the first half, they said, let's go back and look into it. Have we done well? If we have not, these are the things we need to do. Even right here, you and I, we went on a break for us to come back and, get more strength and energy. So we are working. This is just the first half in the 4 years. Have we done well? Yes. Have we won the match? No, because we are still working. The next 2 years is there. We are going to win the match at the end of the 4 years.
But we most sincerely thank you for your time with us on the program, Leadership Dialogue Podcast on LJE. And it's always been fruitful speaking with you. Well, my guest has been a former candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC. In 2023, he ran for the House of Assembly, the position of the House of Assembly for Ika South local government area of Delta State. And of course, he is also a legal practitioner, a politician for that matter. I think a diehard fan of Nigeria.
Of
the current administration as well. Well, Barrister Festus Ofume has been my guest, and we hope that this conversation continues with him. But remember that you can be part of this conversation. All you need to do is drop your comments and follow us on our social media pages on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, as well as Instagram. The handle still remains at LJE Nigeria. I am Chikodnakadili. We'll see you again. Bye.